Morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to a Jayda InStitches live show. We're going to make a dishcloth today. We haven't done a dishcloth in a while on the live, and I love them because they're a great way to practice a stitch. They're a nice way to use up some cotton yarn. They're always useful, and they make nice gifts too. We're going to do our harvest dishcloth today. So this is a dishcloth that uses the scallop stitch. Originally, when we did it back in 2017, we used nice fall colors, which is why we called it the harvest dishcloth. But today I thought we would change things up a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to do this pattern without changing colors. So if you want to change colors and you want to sort of stripe every single row, I'll explain that, of course, but I'm going to demonstrate just doing it in a solid color. I've got a link to the original tutorial in the description box down below, so if you want to see it done in different colors as we change color every row, then you can totally check that video out a little later. But I'm going to just do it all in one go today, and I've got this really pretty self-striping yarn. It's cotton, 100% cotton, size 4 medium weight. I got about, I don't know, 85 yards or so to make today's dishcloth. Nico swinging in as the gifting ninja she is with a gifted membership. Thank you so much, Nico, to getting things started here. Congratulations to Aria. Aria has won the gifted membership. Welcome to the family, Aria. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Marie. Marie's just popped into the shop. We have the pattern available in our Etsy shop. It's on sneaky sale today. Thank you, Maria, for picking it up. It is our harvest dishcloth. Really awesome little pattern. And if you make two and stitch them together, which is really easy, you've got a really nice solid hot pad. So if you're more the hot pad type, Joanne, thank you for picking up a couple patterns. You can make and stitch together two of these. You can make these as wide as you need or as tall as you need. So if you want something bigger, you want to make yourself a towel to match. The pattern explains how to make it wider and how to make it taller if you want to. You can also make it smaller. And the reason we do that is because the whole scallop stitch is based on a foundation chain that is a multiplier. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. I've got a pair of scissors, a yarn needle. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook. This is a size 7, but you can really use whatever hook you want with your chosen yarn. So you could use a 4 millimeter, 4.25, like a G6 hook. You could use the 7. You could use a size 5 millimeter, the 8 or the H hook. You could use a 5.5 millimeter, whatever hook you find comfortable. Remember, it's a dishcloth, and we're primarily practicing a stitch when we make these, but they're nice and quick. So without further ado, let us get right into it. I've got this really pretty variegated yarn, 100% cotton, size 4, medium weight. I want to just untangle it a little bit so I can get going here. And I'm just going to sort of pull it off to one side, and that should be good. There we go. All right. You can decide how long a foundation chain to make. The foundation chain determines the width of your project. So this dishcloth is like 7.5, 8 inches wide, and the foundation chain length determines the width of it. So if you're making a towel or a blanket and so on, it's the foundation chain that determines the width. You can make this foundation chain any multiple of 6 stitches plus an extra 2 on the end. So for today's dishcloth, we're going to chain 32 to start. Let me try that again. Take my eye off the ball for 1 second. There we go. So 32 chains is what I'm starting with for the foundation chain row for the dishcloth. But like I said, any multiple of 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, etc. Once you get to that finished multiple of 6, so every 6 chains, measure it if you're making something different. Once you've got as many as you want, thank you, Monica, for picking up the pattern. Chain an extra 2 on the end, and those extra 2 chains basically just help you complete that first row. And this is row 1. We skip the first chain from the hook, we single crochet into the next chain. This entire pattern is basically just double crochets and single crochets, double crochets and single crochets. Scallops are created by making fans. A fan stitch is usually 5 double crochets, but they can be more, like 7 or 9. Typically a fan is an odd multiple of stitches, usually double crochet, worked into the same stitch. So we're using a 5 double crochet fan stitch for this project. So after you single crochet into the second chain, skip 2 chains, find the next one, and work 5 double crochet into it. 5 double crochet all into the same chain, and those 5 double crochet all worked into the same chain equal 1 fan. And the reason this gets the name scallop stitch is because we are anchoring these fans, and you end up with sort of these, what looks like waves. If you were doing this all in shades of blue, Linda, thank you so much for picking up the pattern. If this was all blue shades, it would look like water. Really, really gorgeous. Once you have 5 double crochet worked into the same chain, skip 2 chains, find the next one, and single crochet. And it's as easy as that. So to begin, skip the first chain, single crochet into the second chain. Skip 2 chains, 5 double crochet into the next chain, skip 2 chains, single crochet into the next chain. And that is your scallop stitch. It is a fan anchored by single crochets on either side. Skip 2 chains, find the next chain, and work 5 double crochets or a fan into the next chain. So you're really just alternating between 5 double crochet fans and anchoring single crochet stitches. And this is just row 1. This is the establishing row of the pattern. So there's 5 double crochet. I really like the colors in this variegated yarn. 5 double crochet, skip 2 chains, single crochet into the next stitch. So now we have 2 anchored fans, and that is where you get that lovely undulating scalloped look. We've got BM Burton, a member for 80 months. Goodness me, thank you so much. BM says, good morning. This year has flown by. Been super crafty lately with Yarny and Cricut. Oh, I want one of those Cricut things. It's been crazy busy over here. I have had a huge creativity buzz lately. Love from the girls and me, LOL. Thank you so much for being here. That is great. I'm really happy when I hear that people have kind of become crafty again or started to feel really crafty and creative, especially when like the weather starts to turn cool, or you know, you've got like big banner events happening like birthdays or holidays. I love that. I love to hear that people are kind of, you know, they got their crojo back, or any kind of creativity for that matter. It makes me happy. All right, little sip of coffee and let's keep going. We are in our foundation, I should say our first row of the fan stitch, the scallop stitch. We are establishing the pattern. So I just single crocheted, skip 2 chains, and into the next stitch, 5 double crochet. So you're skip 2 chains, 5 double crochet, skip 2 chains, single crochet, skip 2 chains, 5 double crochet, skip 2 chains, single crochet. And that is all you have to do. I want to make sure that I don't end up with a, it's funny, you know, all I did was pull some yarn out and just sort of wrap it around my fingers, and for some reason it wants to tangle on me. Very silly. There we go. 1 more double crochet. So 5 double crochets. Skip 2 chains, single crochet. Skip 2 chains, 5 double crochet. Thanks, Bethany. Yeah, I don't know why, for some reason, a few years ago, all of a sudden YouTube decided to start showing the handle instead of the name of the channel or the account. So I see, like, so if your name is your, like, if the name of your account was also chosen to be your handle, like your @ handle, then I'll see your name. And I think you can go in and do that in your account settings. You can, it's like basically you're selecting a unique channel name, but for some reason they just show the @, and I guess that's because they want you to be able to, you know, if you want to type at somebody in the comments or in the chat, you can write, you know, use the at symbol and then start typing their name, and it pops up and you can select that, and then it highlights that. So if that message for that specific person is highlighted, that person was more likely to see it. I think that's the only reason they do it. Other than that, I honestly don't know, because if somebody has like, you know, Moonflower 775, I'm like, okay, Moonflower, I don't know if that's like your actual name or if that's just your, you know, your handle. So that's why I think it's happening. Kind of annoying, but there we are. Thank you for letting me know it's you, Bethany. Skip 2 chains, 5 double crochet into the next chain. So you're just basically repeating this little 5 double crochet, skip 2 chains, single crochet, skip 2 chains, 5 double crochet, skip 2 chains, single crochet, skip 2 chains. You do that all the way across. If you did 32 chains in your foundation chain row like me, you'll have 5 fans, or 5 of those scallops. Your last 5 double crochet fan should appear 3 chains before the end of your foundation chain row. Skip the last 2 chains and into the very last stitch, single crochet. So your row 1, which is an odd row, will begin and end with a single crochet, and in between you should have 5 scallops or 5 fans, and in between each fan you have an anchoring single crochet. So that's how you get that lovely little scallop effect. The scallop stitch alternates. It's the same stitch, but you kind of alter it a little bit depending on whether it's an even row or an odd row. So the odd rows all begin and end with a single crochet. The even rows all begin and end with a half fan. Sounds complicated. It's not. Here we go. Row 2, or an even row, we chain 3 to begin. I feel like I separated my yarn here. I don't want to do that. Let me redo that single crochet. There we go. Chain 3. Goodness me, Barbara, thank you so much for picking up the pattern. The chain 3 at the beginning of an even row counts as a double crochet. And into that same place, so that same single crochet you finished the last row with, work 2 more double crochets. So 3 double crochets at the beginning and end of an even row. And remember, the chain 3 counts as a double crochet. 3 of those double crochet counts as a half a fan. So an even row, row 2, begins and ends with a half fan, and a half fan is 3 double crochet. Now you're looking at the fan from the previous row. You've got 5 double crochets in front of you. Look for the middle one, skip 2 stitches, find the next one, or just find the middle stitch of the fan, single crochet. So into the top middle of every single fan you're single crocheting, and into the single crochet between each fan from the previous row you want to work a full fan, which is 5 double crochet. So you skip 2 stitches, the next one should be a single crochet from the previous row, 5 double crochets into it. And there's just this lovely simplicity to this stitch. I really enjoy it. Goodness me, Maria, thank you for picking up the pattern. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just am making sure I have a little bit of slack here on my yarn. I don't want it to tangle on me. Like I said, I just unwound a little bit and sort of wound it around my hand before I got going today, and for some reason it tangled. I don't know why. 5 double crochet into the single crochet from the previous row, skip 2 stitches into the next stitch, which will be the middle stitch of a fan from the previous row, single crochet. So this way you kind of maintain a flat stitch almost. You still have like a little bit of you're going to have a wave action going. And if you're using different colors, so like if you did on row 1 one color, and then you cut your yarn, joined a new color for the next row, and you know, zipped along, as you can tell from the video thumbnail, you really see those fans. But this is just such a fun way to practice the stitch. And if you're using a self-striping color or a variegated colored yarn like me and just doing it all, or you could even just use a solid color, you'll still see that pattern stitch. It's really neat. So into every single crochet from the previous row, work 5 double crochet, and then skip 2 stitches, and into the middle stitch of every fan from the previous row, single crochet. So you're still alternating between 5 double crochets and single crochets. Goodness me, Geraldine, thank you for picking up today's pattern. Five double crochet, and here we go. Sabian's asking about this. You know what? I really like this colorway too. Let me just see if I can find the sleeve. This is that Bernat Handicrafter yarn, which I believe is pretty much exactly the same stuff as the Sugar and Cream or Peaches and Cream yarn. It's just marketed under a different name in the United States. Into your last stitch, so when you get all the way across, you finish with a single crochet in the middle of your last fan. That last single crochet from the previous row gets a half fan because you're finishing an even row with a half fan. So 3 double crochet into that stitch. And that's 2 rows complete. And you'll have, in a row 2, you'll have 4 full fans and 2 half fans, one to start either end. And you'll have this really neat undulating kind of look to it. Yes, this is Bernat Handicrafter. The color is, what is the color? Coral Seas. Coral Seas. We've got peaches and a deep coral. You've got a light sort of aqua and a dark aqua. I just really like those colors. I feel like it's not like super fallish, but it kind of is. I guess if you're by the ocean, this is kind of fallish. Linda says this seems to go very quickly. It does. When you get to the end of an even row, so row 2 is an even row, it begins and ends with a half fan, or a half fan is 3 double crochet, then you're back to an odd row. So at the end of the row, if you want to change colors, fasten off and then grab a new color, join with a slip stitch in the top of that last stitch. Either way, we all chain 1 and turn, and now we're back to what we did in the first row, an odd row. You start with a single crochet in the first stitch, skip 2 stitches, and into the next stitch, which should be a single crochet from the previous row, you work 5 double crochets, and it's the same pattern repeating. So you work a single crochet into the middle stitch of every fan from the previous row, and into the single crochet anchors that sit between the fans from the previous row, you work 5 double crochet. So 5 double crochet into a single crochet, skip 2 stitches, that'll be the middle stitch of a fan, single crochet. Skip 2 stitches, the next stitch is a single crochet, 5 double crochet into that, and so on and so on, and that is it. It is so simple, and it's such a complicated looking little stitch, but it's not difficult at all. And because it's a solid stitch pattern, it makes for a nice dishcloth or hot pad. Linda, welcome to the family. Thank you so much for joining. Crocus is wondering why we don't do polls anymore. You know what? I would do a poll, I think, if I could do it from here. But Mr. InStitches is usually busy wrangling Penny. And so he's not at the other computer where he does the polls from. He kind of, I don't know if he can do them from his phone. He might be able to. Maybe he should try. If Penny gives him 5 minutes to himself. She's still very young, so she has like a lot of older dogs who will be content to just sort of sit at your feet and relax if you're up busy doing something, at work. This one does not do that yet. She's very, very, very attention seeking, so she's still settling down. She's getting better and better. Amanda, thank you for picking up a couple of patterns. Thank you so much. Charlie, I'm not sure why you're seeing so many adverts. I think YouTube is sort of Might be fiddling with settings. As far as I know, goodness me, Lynn, thank you so much for picking up the pattern. I think we've got it either off or on like low. I don't know. I have to be on. Like YouTube keeps kind of changing what we can do here. And into the top of the last stitch, which was a chain 3 from the previous row. Find the top of that chain 3 and single crochet to finish. There we go. So on an odd row, like a 1 or a 3 or a 5, you will finish the row with 5 full fans. The row begins and ends with a single crochet. If it's an even row, like a row 2, 4, 6, etc., you start and finish the row with a half a fan, which is 3 double crochets, or a chain 3, 2 double crochet. Chain 3 counts as double crochet, and you'll have 4 full fans in between. So if you're changing colors, you can fasten off, rejoin your yarn with a slip stitch in the top of that last stitch, chain 3 and turn, or just chain 3 and turn if you're not changing colors. Work 2 double crochet into the same stitch, because those 2 double crochets plus the chain 3 counts as a half a fan, and then it's just the same pattern. Skip 2 stitches, find the next one, it'll be the middle of a fan, so you single crochet into it. Skip 2 stitches, find the next one, that'll be a single crochet, so you work 5 double crochets into it, or a fan. And holy cow, this is all you have to do. You're just repeating rows 2 and 3 basically all the way across. And you can do this for as many rows as you want. So for example, if you are, if you've settled on a whole bunch of colors, in the original video, I was using 3 colors and I had them on repeat. And I decided that I wanted to border the dishcloth with the same color that I started with. So I started with a yellow, and then I was using like a red and a brown or a green or something, and I was repeat, and I wanted to finish with yellow. So I did a final row in yellow of the scallop stitch, and then I went around the whole dishcloth with the single crochet stitch in yellow, so that the whole thing had a little bit of uniformity. So if you're changing colors every row and you want your first row and your last row to be the same color, just finish it whenever you feel like finishing it on that color, and then you can go right into the border. I think that looks nice if you've striped it. If you're doing it a solid color, or like me, you're using this self-striping or kind of slightly variegated yarn, obviously it doesn't matter. You can end on an odd row, you can end on an even row. So don't worry, there's no like rules for what row type to end on. You can end whenever you want. Nico has just gifted another membership. Goodness me. Thank you, Nico. Thank you so much. And congratulations to Rosie. Rosie Crochet Corner has won the membership. Congratulations, Rosie. Welcome back to the family. Thank you, Nico. Five double crochet, skip 2 stitches, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet, I should say skip 2 stitches and 5 double crochet into the next single crochet. It is a very easy stitch. So if you've got people in your life who are learning to crochet and they've already kind of tried the granny square and maybe they've sort of gotten comfortable with some of the more basic stitches, but they're still looking to kind of practice something, or they want to try something a little more complicated looking, direct them to this. Let them try the scallop stitch and let them try it in a dishcloth format. It's just so much easier. And then they have something useful at the end. Also, if you're trying to use up, like you've got a whole bunch of cotton scraps and you've got a little bit here and a little bit there, you could totally magic ball this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It would look really, really pretty, because every time you change color in a scallop stitch, those scallops individually really stand out. So you could do that, or you can just, you know, grab all of your cotton yarns and just sort of do a couple rows, change colors, do a couple rows, do it every other row. It's a nice way to use up that cotton yarn if you've got it left over from other projects. Into the last stitch on an odd row, I should say on an even row, you're going to find that single crochet from the previous row that finished the previous row and work 3 double crochets into it so that you're even rows begin and end with a half fan, and then you still end up with nice straight row edges, so that 3 double crochets, or the chain 3 2 double crochet, which counts, is a half fan to begin the row. Then it's that typical scallop pattern: single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochet, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochet, skip 2, and so on. You get to the end, 3 double crochet into the last stitch, that's a half fan. So you've got 4 full fans in the middle of an even row, and the even rows begin and end with half fans. So that's it. Back to an odd row, chain 1 turn. The odd rows begin and end with a single crochet. So you single crochet in the first stitch, and then it's just the same pattern. You skip 2 stitches, you're looking at a single crochet, so that gets 5 double crochets. Skip 2 stitches, single crochet into the next stitch, and so on. There is a super sticker from Crocus. Thank you so much, Crocus Connections. Thank you for the super sticker. That is so sweet. Single crochet into the middle stitch of the fan, and keep going. 5 double crochet into the next stitch. Make sure I haven't missed anything while I've been staring at this. Everybody's having a lovely time. And Samantha's asking, how big do I make it? Well, you can make it as large as you want. Just like I said in the beginning, you can, the variation of the foundation chain row, so depending on how long you make your foundation chain row, determines the width of the project. So since I'm making a dishcloth, I don't need it to be very wide, but so far without the border, this is 22 centimeters or 8.5 inches, and that's just because I'm using the 4.5 millimeter stitch, and my size 4 medium weight yarn is a little on the thick side. So I love that. I love anything between 7.5 and 8.5 inches is a nice width for a dishcloth. And then you're just going to keep repeating the pattern for as long as you need it to be. So if you want a long one, you repeat rows 2 and 3 over and over and over again until it's as long as you want. If you want it to be narrow, because let's say you're making like a scarf or something, then you wouldn't do as many rows. You would only do like a few rows if you wanted it to be narrow. So you can make your foundation chain any length that you want, so long as it's a multiple of 6 chains plus 2 extra for turning at the end. Linda, thanks for picking up a pattern. And then you just repeat the 2, 3, rows 2, 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3 until it's as tall as you like. So very simple pattern, easily manipulated. Meg, thanks for picking up the pattern. Easily manipulated for anything you want. And I really like this stitch for dishcloths and hot pads because it's a solid stitch. There's really not any spaces in between. We've got a membership milestone from Dawn. Dawn has been a member for 84 months. Goodness me, thank you, Dawn. Dawn says, good morning from Washington State. Sweater weather, love fans. So pretty. And a bunch of emojis. Thank you, Dawn. Yes, it is definitely sweater weather. It is an overcast and kind of damp day out there today for us, but I'll take it. I do like fall weather. I will happily take the rain over snow any day. I went food shopping on the weekend, and I went into a little place to check a lotto ticket, and I said something about, it was pouring, and I said, the rain, and the girl behind the counter said, well, at least you don't have to shovel it. And I said, you're right, I won't stop complaining. Nice little reality check there. Dawn says, I'm thinking about going back and forth and watching all the unblanket videos and making them or some of them to use as wall hangings around my apartment. I love that idea. Absolutely. I'll be pulling out my various unblanket calendar canvases from this year every year going forward. It's my little kind of celebratory calendar. So if it's January, I'm going to have the January calendar canvas hanging. If it's May, the May calendar canvas hanging, etc. And I'm gonna find like a little permanent spot for its little rod to hang, and then I'll just swap the canvases out as the months change. And I really like that. It's kind of fun to have an actual calendar. So I'm treating mine as an actual calendar. Goodness me, Debbie, thank you for picking up some patterns. Thank you so much. And I really like, Amanda suggested, I recently bought variegated cotton yarn. I was making doily and coaster sets. Now I can make some of these. You know, Amanda, you just made me think. You could make this coaster sized. I would say maybe 3 fans. So what is this? 6, 6, 6 is 18 plus 2. So if you chained 20 and then did maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. So beginning with a foundation chain of 20 and then maybe 8, 9, or maybe even 10 rows before you went into a border, that would be a really nice little coaster size. So you could try that too. At the end of an odd row, which begins and ends with a single crochet, chain 3 and turn. If you're changing colors, just fasten off, join your new yarn, chain 3, turn, and continue. Even rows start with a half fan. So we're going to put 2 more double crochet into the top of that single crochet from the previous row, and then it's just back to the same old, skip 2, single crochet, skip 2, 5 double crochet, etc. Valerie says she's going to make a baby blanket with this stitch. Great idea. This makes a beautiful baby blanket, again, because there's really not any little sort of gappy bits. Plus, you know, you can make it different colors. You can stripe it. You can make it a solid color. If you have like a really pretty baby blanket yarn, like one of the ice cream big scoops or a pound of love or something that's different colors, that all the color thinking has kind of already been done for you, then you can just sort of turn your brain off and work that scallop stitch back and forth. Lovely idea. Mandy's wondering if she, or Marie I should say, is wondering if she missed the November unblanket. Yes, the November unblanket went up on Friday. That video is up. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll find it if you just search November unblanket, and it should pop right up. And if you're on the channel homepage, it should be like one of the first videos up top, because that one just went up on Friday. Goodness me, Nico, thank you. Gifting member Nico also just popped into the shop and picked up the pattern. Thank you, Nico. This is a quick pattern, so here I am chit-chatting with all of you, so I'm moving a little slower than I normally do, but if you kind of, once you get this pattern into your brain, it's one of those, you don't really have to think about it. You just kind of, your brain just sort of shows up to go, oh, I'm at the end of the row. Which row ending is this? Do I have to, you know, do I have to do a single crochet end, or is it a half fan end? Well, if you get to the end and you realize that the last row ended with a single crochet, you know it's a half fan end. And if you get to the end of the row and it's a half fan staring you in the face from the previous row, you know you end with a single crochet. And if you're ever really confused, just sort of pop back and look at the beginning of the row, because the beginning and the end of your row is always the same. If it's an odd row, it begins and ends with a single crochet. If it's an even row, it begins and ends with a half fan or 3 double crochet. Sip of my coffee. Thank you, Linda. Have a nice day. Chain 1, turn, single crochet in the top of the first stitch, and then off to the races. You can do as many rows as you want. In the original pattern, I did 13 rows in total, and as soon as I'm finished this row, I'm going to count up my rows. I'll show you how to count your rows. It's also very easy to count. And if you accidentally offset a scallop, so like you're buzzing along and maybe you accidentally put your 5 double crochet fan into a stitch that's just before or just after the single crochet, don't fret, just correct it in mid stride. So just look for the next, sort of the middle stitch of the next fan, single crochet, and then keep going. It'll only be slightly off, and if you're using a multicolored yarn like me, you won't even notice it. So don't fret if you've made the odd little error. You don't have to rip it out and redo it. Crocus is wondering, do we have a crocheted poppy? Yes, we do. We have a tutorial and a pattern. We did the tutorial last year. So if you just search for the poppy on our channel, it should pop up. Or just if you're just if you just have a YouTube page open, just search Jayda InStitches poppy. It'll pop right up. It'll pop right up. last fan. Jody, thank you for picking up a pattern. Really appreciate the support, you guys. Being a subscriber, being a member, purchasing patterns, it really helps keep us going here. For real. We really do appreciate it a deep amount. Okay, I've just finished another row. It was an odd row. I'm going to count my rows. So this is how you do it. Just find a scallop. This is row 1 down here. And then you kind of go on a little, like you kind of cantilever. You go zigzagging as you count your rows. So there's row 1, row 2. And the reason you do that is because your fans all sit kind of tessellating into the hollow between fans from the previous row. So here's 1, and here's 1 sitting in the hollow from the previous row. So you just kind of do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've already done 7 rows. Chain 3, turn. Make a half a fan to start, so 2 double crochet into it. Hello, Becky! Becky has just gifted a membership. Our other gifting ninja, Becky, in the chat with a gifted membership. Thank you so much, Becky. And congratulations to Ray Tina, who has won it. Welcome back to the family. Thank you, Becky. Kimberly, thank you so much for picking up the pattern. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it, everybody. Goodness me, Joya, thank you. Thank you so much for picking up the pattern. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There is definitely a poppy in the list of videos there, Katie. Thanks for mentioning it. It should also be, if you're looking at playlists, it'll be in the Applique playlist. It will be, like I said, if you just search the word poppy, Jayda InStitches poppy, it'll come right up. And it's fairly new. I think we did it last year. And I should have a little single crochet there. There it is. Finishing an even row with a half a fan. So that's 3 double crochet into the last stitch to finish that row. That's already row 8. Goodness me, Jessica, thank you for picking up the pattern. Thank you so much. Dawn's wondering how Penny's doing. She's okay. Actually, I haven't heard her bark yet, so I guess she's content. She might. I did hear her little tappy tappities, so I guess she's out there strutting her stuff in the front room. She's probably wondering what I'm doing in here talking to myself, but she's peachy. Chain 1 and turn. Like I said, if you're changing colors at the end of every row, fasten off and then just join your new yarn in the last stitch of that row with a slip stitch. And you're either chaining 1 to turn, depending on the row you're starting, or chaining 3 to turn. You can change colors anytime you want. So every row, every other row, every 3 rows, you know, whatever you feel like. But if you're yarn with magic balling it, then you can just sort of tie in the next color as you go. Don't worry about changing colors at the end of a row, because that'll just sort of look like a self-striping yarn. And just have fun with it. Very simple little pattern. Really nice way to practice the scallop stitch. Maria's asking, Jayda, do you have a scarf made with this stitch? I do not believe so. We have an owl tea cozy that we made using this stitch. I may have made a pair of fingerless gloves using this stitch. I'm trying to think. At this point, I've made so many things. I really like the scallop stitch, but oddly, I don't think I've used it as much as I've used, say, the falling leaves stitch for different things. Let me just get myself a little more slack on this ball of yarn here. Dawn, thank you for picking up a pattern. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not sure what it is in Fahrenheit because we use Celsius here, but I think it was when I checked, it was 5 degrees Celsius, which is chilly, but it's not 0. So I'd still go out in just like a light jacket or a hoodie. Definitely what I'd call sweater weather though. So odd rows begin and end with a single crochet there. And now, as you can see, I am using a variegated yarn, but you can still see that texture. That scallop stitch creates a beautiful texture. I'm going to hold it up a little closer so you can see it. The fans will really show up if you're changing color every row, or if you're changing colors every fan. You can do that too. There's so much you could do with this pattern. But if you're just using one solid color or a self-striping or a variegated or something like this, you still get that absolutely gorgeous texture that it creates. It looks like seashells, a whole bunch of seashells neatly tessellating into each other. Absolutely loving it. Chain 3 and turn. This is an even row, so we're starting with a half fan, 2 more double crochet into that stitch to go along with that chain 3. Chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and we're back to the pattern. Single crochet in the middle of a fan, 5 double crochet into a single crochet from the previous row. Zipping right along. Oh my goodness, really, Dawn? Let me go check that out. Dawn says it's sold out in the shop. Goodness me. Oh, and she's right. Let me fix that. Beg your pardon. Goodness gracious. Thank you for pointing that out, Dawn. It is renewed. It is in the shop. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dawn. Okay, it should be back up and available there. Looks like some people's messages are getting blocked. You know what, guys? If you feel like your message has been blocked, I'll tell you what YouTube does sometimes. If you have funny punctuation, because you know you're just sort of zipping along on your phone or your keyboard and you type fast like I do, and sometimes like you get an extra period or an extra colon or something stuffed up against something, or a slash for some reason, occasionally YouTube thinks you're trying to share a link, so it'll just block it because they don't allow us to share links on other people's videos or in live chats unless you're a moderator. So that could be it. It could also be that it interprets something as a bit of a fishy statement. So YouTube might think it looks kind of rude or possibly, you know, contains bad language or something. Now, it could be wrong. But if you've, you know, misspelled something, or it, you know, there's it's a turn of phrase that it thinks is strange, it'll block it. Becky, thank you for picking up the pattern. Again, thank you, Dawn, for pointing that out. So there's any number of reasons why it might block, but also sometimes it just randomly blocks things. Goodness me, Dawn, thank you, Dawn. I've gone into in YouTube occasionally in the comment section as a YouTube channel sort of like owner. I can go into the comment section, and there's two things. There's published comments, and then there's comments that are held for review. And typically I don't look at those because there's a lot of other comments that have been published that I need to sort of get to first. But sometimes I check on it because sometimes there's inappropriate stuff there, and I need to report, you know, bad acting channels to YouTube. But other times it's like the most random things, somebody who's a member will say, "Oh, I really liked this," and for some reason that will get you know, retracted and put in the held for moderation, or you know, it'll just disappear, like it won't get published, and I have zero idea why YouTube would do that. So it's not necessarily you. It's not necessarily something you typed. It's just that I think the the little bots, the artificial intelligence that looks at the comments is still learning. Doesn't quite get, sometimes it maybe mistakes something as sarcasm. Goodness me. Hello, Crocus. Crocus Connections with a super chat. Thank you. Ooh, -4 in Manitoba. Great weather for Remembrance Day. Yes. Goodness me. -4. Okay, so you're about 10 degrees cooler than we are right now. Short story time. I used to be an air cadet many moons ago, and I regularly got I had to do cenotaph duty on Remembrance Day, which is either you're in the parade or you're already at the cenotaph and you're standing on either side of the war memorial, usually with your head bowed and an inverted rifle on your boot. And let me tell you, it is difficult to stand there and not be sniffling in the cold or shivering in your boots. It can be a very cold little bit of duty to do, but I always kind of enjoyed it. But my gosh, that seems like an awfully long time ago. And I was always happy when it wasn't raining or snowing. So I don't mind cold weather. I just don't like excessive darkness, or I don't like it snowing when I need to drive somewhere. But other than that, if I don't have to go anywhere and the electricity is still on because the power hasn't cut out, then it can do whatever it wants outside. I'm happy inside with all my yarn and my craft supplies. The squirrels are not yet to bed, Mandy. They'll come out all year long, actually. They'll come out on nice days in the winter and do some digging around for food. So they don't really go into hibernation. The ground squirrels, like the chipmunks do, they hibernate, but the regular squirrels do not. And I know they're still out there because just this morning when I was out with Penny, I heard them yelling at each other in the woods. So they're still caching. And I'm going to count my rows. It's been a while since I counted. And when I'm in a pattern like this, which is just so lovely, it allows you kind of to turn your brain off. It's very easy to lose track of how many rows you've done because you just sort of turn the corner and keep going and turn the corner and keep going. And single crochet into the top of the chain 3. There we go. Okay, how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows so far. Chain 3 and turn. Start and finish with a half fan on this row. I'm going to make this square. So it may be 13 rows. It may be more than that. I'm just going to make this as perfectly square as possible. And then I'm going to go into the border, which is just a plain, simple single crochet. Hello, Joanna. Joanna has been a member for 37 months. Thank you, Joanna, with a membership milestone. Joanna says, "Hi, Jayda. Freezing here in Tillsonburg, -3 Celsius, and we got some snow yesterday." Ooh! Ew. I hope it's all gone. Did it leave already? I don't mind the first few snowfalls of the year because typically they kind of come in, they look pretty, and then they leave just as quickly. There's not really any shoveling that needs to be done. I got to limber up for shovel season. Start doing some stretch. Oh, by the way, ladies, if you're like over the age of 25, before you pick up a shovel to shovel anything, snow, dirt, sand, leaves, doesn't matter. Do some stretches first. Your body will thank you for it the next day. Don't just jump in. I think I especially am bad at just picking up the shovel and going for it. And then I wonder why I can't breathe the next day because I've pulled all my back muscles. Hi, Cherry. Welcome to the live stream. We are making the Harvest dishcloth today in a solid color. Well, I'm using a solid yarn as opposed to changing colors every row. This is the Scallop Stitch, and it just makes the prettiest little dishcloth. Makes a lot of nice things actually, but it's the Scallop Stitch, and the Scallop Stitch is comprised of 5 double crochet fans anchored with single crochets on either side, and the anchoring of those fans creates that lovely undulating scallop stitch look. So you have the top kind of going wee, That's what we're doing today. The original tutorial is linked in the description box down below if you want to check that out later or see it done in multiple colors, changing colors every row. I was eager to sort of do this in a single color. So we had a lot of questions when we first did that tutorial on like how it would look if you only used one color. So it's been a while, but finally got around to addressing that. Chain 1 turn on an odd row. The odd rows begin and end with a single crochet. Still there, eh, Joanna? Ew. All right. Well, maybe it'll leave soon on its own. Mandy says this is coming out so pretty. I agree. I really like, I mean, I already like the color of this yarn, but it looks nice in this particular stitch. I'm really happy with that because this is about to become a new dishcloth in my kitchen. A few more rows and then we're going to go into a border. I like crochet patterns that have visual cues. So you don't necessarily find yourself having to count, like this is 5 double crochet, skip 2 stitches, single crochet, skip 2 stitches, 5 double crochet, skip 2 stitches, single crochet, etc. But because you have the visual cue of the fan and you're looking for the middle stitch, which is usually at the top, so it's at the highest peak, and then you're looking for the lowest bit, which is usually the single crochet down there between them, you don't really have to count so much as you're just kind of looking for the next visual cue. It makes crocheting enjoyable from multiple points, so you don't have to pay as close attention. It just kind of flows along nicely with your fingers, and it's what I call a social stitch. You can sit and do this kind of thing while you're hanging out with people, or you know, if you're at the lunch table at work or at school, you can kind of just sort of sit and do this while you're hanging out with everybody because it doesn't require all of your attention. Single crochet to finish the row. Definitely want another row in here. So into an even row, chain 3 turn, chain 3 counts as double crochet, and we're going to work 2 more double crochets into that stitch. This might be my last row. I think this might be even my row 13, so that's kind of cool. Instead of keeping to the original. But like I said, you can do as many rows as you want. If you wanted it to be bigger, if you wanted it to be narrower, depending on what you are doing with this particular stitch. I'll put a few notes in the description box at the end of today's video on just sort of using the scallop stitch pattern in general. So if you're kind of thinking about expanding your scallop stitch use into some other kind of project, I'll leave some notes there for you. I just love a good dishcloth. There's just something so nice about a brand new dishcloth. I always love to make a bunch this time of year. Dishcloths, or you know, they can be considered washcloths too, but dishcloths especially, they're just like the nicest little gift to bring to somebody if you're kind of going over for a quick meal, or you know, you've sort of been invited last minute to a little something. It's nice to have like just bring a dishcloth and a pretty bar of soap. I just feel like that's one of the, I mean, I'm an adult, so I realize, you know, if I was a teenager or a kid, I might not find that as exciting. But as an adult who, you know, has to deal with dishes and pots and pans and, you know, soap and a new dishcloth is just such a nice thing. All right, how many rows have I done? Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I did 14. All right, 14 rows is definitely enough. Oh, or do I do one more row? I feel like one more row, why not? One more row might make it look perfectly square. Yes, because if I do this, it looks rectangular. So one more row, why not? I'm doing 15 rows today. And then we'll do a border. But like I said, you can do as many rows as you want. If you're using a smaller hook than me, you might have slightly smaller stitches, so you might not have to do as many rows. If you're using a bigger hook than me, you may have larger stitches. You may feel you need to do more rows. It is entirely up to you how many rows you do, and it is you can end on an even row or an odd row. It doesn't matter. Hello, Ronald and Kathy Jones. Ronald and Kathy in the chat. Hello, hello. Members for 52 months. My goodness, thank you so much. And there's Kathy with a super membership milestone. Says, good morning, Jayda. And everyone, it's been snowing here in Northwest Indiana. About 10 inches. Oh my gosh. That's almost a foot. Ron and I wish you a most cozy day of warmth and crochet and good movies. Love you, cousins. Hi to the Mr. and Penelope too. Thank you so much, both of you. My goodness. Yes, with that kind of weather, if you can stay in, stay in. At this time of year, I like to make sure that when I go out and do the food shopping, or whichever of us goes out and does the food shopping, we've got at least 2 weeks worth of supplies so that we just don't have to go out if we don't have to. It just makes me feel a lot safer and cozier thinking that if the weather's going to get bad, then I don't have to go out and battle the weather. I think, especially in Canada when the weather is bad, the fewer cars on the road, the better. Because, everybody who actually has to be on the road, the fewer cars, the better. It's just safer, Plus the plows are out there and the salters, and I just feel like if the more open and empty the roads are, the safer it is for everybody. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, Jackie. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here. Charlie says this would make a brilliant scarf using softer wool or yarn. Absolutely. Warm and toasty. You could do it in 2 ways. You could do it with all of the scallops kind of like you could do it this way so that all of your scallops are kind of upright and it's long, so you only have a very short foundation chain row and you're just kind of going back and forth in very short rows, or a really long foundation chain row and you only do like a very few rows but over a long foundation chain row. Depends on, I guess, how you kind of want it to look draped around your neck, but either way it would be very warm and cozy. Okay, I have now done 15 rows. I feel like that looks quite square. Let's jump down to the border. So again, it doesn't matter how many rows you do. If you're making it a scarf or a blanket or a towel or a dishcloth or a hot pad or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're making a hot pad, because you're going to make 2 of these and stitch them together, make sure they're both identical sized. Makes putting them together a lot easier. Quick sip of my coffee. So the first thing we want to do is chain 1 and turn. So whether you finish on an even row or an odd row, doesn't matter. Chain 1 and turn. The only difference is if you finished on an even row, so you ended with a half a fan, or you're looking at the top of a double crochet, you're going to single crochet into the top of that stitch. If you ended on an odd row like me with a single crochet, you're going to work a half double crochet into it, only because as we work across the top, we kind of want to flatten things out to make it a square. So everybody chain 1 and turn, but if the last thing you did was a double crochet, you're going to single crochet. And if the last thing you did was a single crochet, you're going to half double crochet. So we half double crochet into the top of the single crochet, or single crochet into the top of the double crochet. Like I said, doesn't matter what you ended up on. And then all the way across, if you're looking at a double crochet, so the 5 double crochet fan, single crochet in every single stitch. When you get to the single crochets, half double crochet. So it doesn't matter what you ended up on. You single crochet in every double crochet from the previous row, and you half double crochet in every single crochet from the previous row. And that just basically squares up the top. Excuse me. So single crochet in every double crochet across that last row, and half double crochet in every single crochet. So it doesn't matter whether you ended on an even row or an odd row. That's how you treat those stitches, whatever order they come in. And the rest of the border is all single crochet. It's pretty easy to work out what goes where, and I'll explain that here in a moment. Just getting across my last fan. And my last stitch from the previous row was a single crochet, so I'm ending this row with a half double crochet. But if your last stitch from the previous row was the chain 3, then you're ending with a single crochet. So all the way across, there you go, single crochets and the double crochets, half double crochets and the single crochet. Whatever you're ending with, chain 2 for a corner, and then into the side of that stitch, single crochet. So it doesn't matter whether you ended with a single crochet or a half double crochet, chain 2 and single crochet into the side of that stitch, whether it's a half or a single. Then you're going to look at your edge down here. If it's a single crochet at the end of a row, you single crochet in the edge of that stitch. If it's a double crochet or a chain 3 at the end of a row, you work 2 single crochets into it. And that's it. You just single crochet. You can work through the stitch or around the stitch. A double crochet row, it's either a double crochet or chain 3, gets 2 single crochets in the edge. A single crochet row gets 1 single crochet in the edge. And that's it, all the way down, easy peasy. That will keep it more or less like straight. You won't end up with any like strange stretching. Carol Ann says it says nice colors and pattern. Thank you. I really like the colors of this yarn too. It's very pretty. It's very nice on the eyes. And of course the scallop stitch is just such a fun pattern to practice. It has got so many unique applications too. I really like the, Amanda sort of made a suggestion about coasters, and I really like that idea. Making little coasters. Because it's a solid stitch, so it would make nice coasters. There's no gaps in between the stitches. Dawn's going to try it in a 3-weight as well. Yes, do it. You know what? It'll work in a 3-weight. You just have to maybe do a few more foundation chains to make it the same size as this one, and a few more rows because it's just a slightly smaller weight yarn. But like I said, you can use as many chains in your foundation chain as you need to, so long as it's any multiple of 6 plus 2 on the end. And then any number of rows. Doesn't matter. When you get all the way down to the end, you're going to find the bottom corner stitch. So it looks like I'm in the bottom corner. That's where a single crochet was. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in that first foundation chain or the bottom corner foundation chain. And then you're turning it and you're single crocheting in every single chain all the way across the bottom. Easy peasy. Hello, Becky. Becky has been a member for 16 months. Thank you so much, Becky. Becky with a membership milestone says 6 to 7 inches of snow here last night in Upper Michigan. Blah! Near Lake Superior. Wow. With another 6 to 7 inches expected through today and tonight. Thank you, Jayda InStitches. Oh, stay cozy, Becky. Remember, if you have to shovel, limber up first. And then when you come in, have a nice hot shower and a nice hot drink, and then get cozy on the couch under a nice warm blanket and watch something fun. Maybe have your crochet nearby. That is how you deal with snow clearing. And Ronald and Kathy Jones in the chat with a super chat. Thank you so much, Ronald and Kathy. How very generous. Says your cousins again. Enjoy your day. You make our week most wonderful. Thank you so much. You're the comfort in a world of insanity. Oh goodness. Being definitely me cozy today. Love to all. Kathy and Ron, thank you so much. You know what? If this little corner of the internet where we sit and make some dishcloths or some granny squares or some other cozy little crochet project, whether it's for you or the people you love, or you're making things to sell in your upcoming craft show, whatever it is, I hope that you are looking ahead to a cozy week, a crafty week. In fact, and I was just sort of saying this to Becky this morning, I would like to see us challenge ourselves for just this week to get as many things finished as we can. So if you've got a list of works in progress, or you have a little bucket of them, Mary, thank you for picking up a pattern. If you've got a little pile of whips, challenge yourself to see how many you can clear off your whip list this week. It's a fun challenge. It's an exciting challenge. See how many you can get done. There's a couple reasons for this. One, it gets them done. Two, it gets them off your list. So if you had things you had to finish and you've been meaning to get to it, challenge yourself to see how many of them you can get done this week. And three, it gets the space ready for you to be busy as the holiday season comes up on us like a freight train. It is coming fast. So challenge yourself this week. See how many of those whips you can get finished. And then I want to know, I'm going to run a poll on Friday. I'm going to see how many of you were able to get whips finished. So look for the poll this Friday morning coming. I'm going to ask you all how many you got done. When you get all the way across to the end in the last chain, you're going to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. That's your corner. I'm going to work right over top of that little tail so that I don't have to weave it in later. And then it's just the same thing up this side as it was up the other side. If it's a single crochet row, you go single crochet in the row edge. If it's a double crochet row or a chain 3, 2 single crochet in the edge of that. So it's a tall stitch, it gets 2 single crochet. If it's a small stitch, it gets 1 single crochet, etc. And I'm going to single crochet because that's the height of a single crochet. Don't worry about stitch count. Stitch count is not important. What you're going for is a squareness. A squareness. That's all that matters here. I'm going to make sure I don't split my yarn too much. Actually, that doesn't look so bad. Oh my goodness, we've got more membership milestones piling into the chat. Absolutely love it. We've got Jessica Rabbit, member for 47 months. Holy smokes. Thank you so much, Ms. Rabbit. Ms. Rabbit says, I second that. And I believe she means the me cozy comfort in a world of insanity comment from Kathy and Ron. Thank you so much, Ms. Rabbit. Cozy things can also include video games on the couch. And Kimberly, membership milestone for 43 months. Kim's been a member. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Kimberly says, hello, everyone. Hello, Kimberly. So glad you could join us today. I'm so glad so many of you could join us today. This has just been yet another lovely Monday with the InStitches family, the InStitches community, best group of folks on the internet, bar none. I know everybody probably says that, but I think really, you guys really are the best group on the internet. Maria says, challenge accepted. That's right, girlfriend. I have 3 sweaters and 2 pairs of leg warmers that I will try to finish this week. Woohoo! Go for it. I just have sleeves for the sweaters and 1 leg warmer each to finish. You can do 1 leg warmer per night. You can do it. Ms. Rabbit says, I just finished all my whips and used the yarn that I have for specific projects. I would have very little yarn left. And they use the yarn I have for specific, I would have very little yarn left. Well, you know what? That's good. Does organizing and storing my yarn count as a whip? Mela, if your room is in such a disaster that you can't move forward, then yes, because that technically is a not so much a project as it is an errand, no, a chore, something to do on the to-do list. So yes, reorganizing the craft room and making sense of it and making it tidy so that you can get to work on all of your holiday stuff, that does count. Hi, Laura. Laura, I'm using a size 4 medium weight cotton. I'm making a dishcloth. Wendy's been a member for 30 months. Thank you, Wendy. Wendy with a membership milestone says, lovely pattern, Jayda. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love the scallop stitch. It is simple. It is fun. When you get all the way back up to the top, you're going to work your last single crochet in the edge or the bottom of the single crochet that you began the row, or if it was a half double crochet in the bottom of that stitch, chain 2 and join with a slip stitch to that first stitch you made. So whether it was a half double crochet or a single crochet, doesn't matter. Single crochet, chain 2, join with a slip stitch, and then do not fasten off. I love these little sharp corners. It's just so cute. Pulling out my corners. We're going to make a little hanger, so you don't have to do this. If you're making a pothole and you don't want a hanger, or you just don't want a hanger, you don't have to do this, but I love little hangers on the ends of my dishcloths because I sometimes like to hang them to dry. Chain 12. And don't twist your yarn. Come on back down and either slip stitch into the same stitch you joined in or slip stitch into the first chain. Doesn't matter. Whatever you think makes the most sense or looks the nicest. You could also, if you want, turn and slip stitch join into the chain 2 corner space you just made. So you can do that as well. And then it kind of comes out of the corner. I think I like the way that looks too. No rules. Whatever you think looks best on your dishcloth, fasten off, weave your tail in, and you are done. If you are using a cotton with a really powerful color, like a red or a rich blue or a deep purple or black or something, you may want to wash it first on its own, possibly with a color stay agent, just to make sure that the yarn, the dye doesn't run on you. I've had that happen with the cottons. But if you are not using a cotton with a strong color, you can just start using it in the sink, especially if it's for you. If it's for somebody else, yeah, you might want to give it a light wash first, just to kind of knock out any loose fibers. You know, or if you tend to crochet in an area that has a lot of, like, you know, pet fur or dust or whatever, then maybe giving it a wash first might be nice before you give it away as a gift. And that goes for just about anything. But I mean, most of us are pretty careful where we crochet. So it's a cotton dishcloth. If it looks neat and tidy, it should not require a wash before you give it away. But if you feel like you want to be extra careful, or, you know, you want it to smell nice or something, then go ahead. I want to make sure that I don't, there we go. Get that under there. I am doubling back on my stitches to weave in my tail. There we go. All right. Gee whiz, that turned out nicely. That, again, that yarn was a Bernat Handicrafter. Like I said, it's the same stuff as the Peaches and Cream or Sugar and Cream yarn, cotton yarn, size 4, medium weight, that's marketed in the United States. I don't know why they have different names for it, but there you are. And this was Coral something. What's this yarn weight called? Colorway is called Coral Seas. Coral Seas. I don't know if they're still making it under that name. I did get this ball of yarn a while ago, but oh, it's so pretty. I really like that. It is final size 23 centimeters by, also it's 9 inches wide. It is 8 inches tall, 21 centimeters. So 21 centimeters or 8 inches tall. So not a perfect square, but darn close enough. It's a tight stitch. As I use it, it will loosen up a little bit. So if you are making dishcloths as gifts and you're using a size 4 medium weight cotton yarn, I do recommend sizing down your hook a little bit. I used the 4.5 millimeter or the size 7, a G6 or a 4.25 millimeter or a 4 millimeter is really nice too. It just makes your stitching a little tighter so that when you start using it as a dishcloth, what will naturally happen is that it will ease it, even the stitches will ease up, will loosen a little bit. It will get a little bit bigger. So if you use a tighter stitch with a smaller hook to start with, you'll have less of that as it gets used. So just a nice little tip for making dishcloths. Everybody, thank you so much. I see several of you are planning on doing the challenge this week. See if you can do as many whips as you can. I'm going to go through the craft room, find as many unfinished projects as I can. I know there's always a few. I'm going to pull them all out. I'm going to be honest with myself, and I'm going to see how many of them I can finish this week. I will post my findings at the end of the week, and I'm going to put a poll up for all of you to take part in as well. So look forward to that on Friday morning. We've got Dawn's frogging some. Ms. Rabbit says she tries to take part and finish it February. I like that, but February is a long way off, and I've got a busy holiday season before that. So I'm going to see this week. I want us all to sort of see how many we can get done this week, and then we'll feel good. We'll be like, that's off my platter. Tina says, Uncle lived in Stony Creek, Ontario, sold his house because he was tired of shoveling the snow. He said they would come by with the blower and cover his sidewalk and driveway back up. Yep. You can finish snow like either plow, snow blow, or shovel out your driveway. And the second you finish, without fail, along comes the snowplow and just blows you back in again. It's really annoying. The winter. Becky's going to finish this week. That's awesome. Oh, Heidi says if you put 1 cup of salt in your wash, it will prevent color bleeding now and in the future on brand new items. Hey, Heidi, that is a great hint. Thank you. Super tip. I'm going to try that. We've got, everybody's had a good, okay, good. You guys all had a great time. I'm so glad to hear it. Once again, today's pattern is the Harvest Dishcloth pattern. The original tutorial is linked in the description box, and the written pattern is now up in the shop as well. Thank you to everybody who popped in and picked it up or picked up another pattern. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to our members. You guys are fantastic and awesome. Thank you to Crocus and to Kathy and Ron for the super stickers and the super chats. Really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who has come to spend some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed stitching this up. Have a great week. Get those whips finished. I'm going to see you on Friday to find out how many you've done. And until then, stay safe and crafty and have a great day. Bye, guys.